Hey guys, welcome back to my video. Notice I had to think about that because I seem to call it something different every time. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video, another recording, continuation. We are continuing the build of Tamiya's F-4J Phantom 2. This is the 1/32nd scale. What did we do last time? Last time we finished the seats. Dedicated videos to just doing the cockpit seats, and that's it. So now that those are done, we can continue on. So I think at the end of my last video, that was part 7.2, I think I named it, I put on some neutral gray wash on the plane and slathered it everywhere to start doing the weathering process. And so here we have it. This is kind of almost the finished product. So I've got it all, as you can see, it's smeared on here, and but I haven't done this wing yet. So I need to do this wing, and I need to do a little spot there, and then that's pretty much going to be done. I want to put a little bit of just some dry brush with some silver on these panels here, just to make it pop a little bit. And that's what I'm going to start off with, is just finishing off my weathering. So I'm just going to take my thinner and take a bit of a slightly bigger brush and my paper towel. And so, with that being said, I just did all the panel line accent color on the little rivets on the canopy here, so I want to get rid of those first. I want to get that cleaned up before I forget. So I'm just going to clean this up first. I will say I do love these cotton buds that I bought off of Amazon much better than the Q-tip brand ones that I used to use. The Q-tip ones are really soft, and they're great for, I don't know, getting in your ears. But these seem to be a lot firmer, and so the cotton tends to go down into the creases a lot less than the more fuzzy Q-tip brand ones, and so I do like them a lot better. Anyway, so that one's done. And what was I doing here? I need this open, so dip my brush in. Don't need too much on it. And again, just make sure it's kind of almost dry. And I'm going to, I'm not quite happy with the way this one's streaked out, so I'm just gonna do it a little bit on here to feather it. I'm not doing it hard enough to get rid of the streaks. I'm just really kind of feathering the streaks out a bit on there. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing because I got the plane oriented this way. I try and do it in a way that you can actually see, but I still have to, the size of this model kind of restricts the things I'm trying to do. When I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. So maybe you can see on this wing here, if I just want to feather it. See, even though that paint has been sitting there for a while, the thinner really, with a couple of strokes, it's like it reactivates it and allows you to smear it and everything and get whatever look you like on there. I'm not trying to clean it up completely, I just want it kind of feathered. What's holding me up here? My mouse. There we go. So now I can work on this side. I'm sorry this camera is not going to be able to see it really great. This one can see it better. Just as I just want to smear. I'm basically just streaking it. Now whether or not this is actually realistic to the real plane, I don't know. I just think it gives it that kind of nice dirty look, and definitely streak marks like it's been weathered and it's been had wind going across these panels, making them dirty and all that good stuff. And that's kind of what I'm going for on here. Sometimes if I get one that blends a little too close into another one, well, I just use a little more thinner and kind of fix it up a bit. That's the beauty of doing this, is you can leave as much on or take as much off as you want. Now what I do need to do is put this in here temporarily so that when I pull this down, it'll actually pull it onto this. It'll look kind of funny if I got all this dirty streaking but none of it on the actual fins. And I think that looks good. How we're doing now, I think that is pretty good. That looks good to me. I did notice when I was looking at this that there was one I did forget to do, one little spot when I was doing the other side, and that's right here in the Marines area. So I'll just do that. This one looks like I touched it with my finger while it was wet, so let's smear my fingerprints away. Just do a little touch up here and there, and that looks good, I think. Just clean it up just a little bit, make it not quite so harsh. So you don't want big blobs of stuff, you want it smeared and streaked nicely. And I think that looks pretty good the way it sits now. Okay, so that can go over here. Actually not yet, I need to clean my brush. Do I seem a little disorganized? I feel like I'm a little disorganized. I'm not sure. I just got my my booster shot yesterday. Yes, I am vaccinated. Had my 2 shots, and it's been 6 months, so had my 3rd shot, my booster shot they call it. And I got that on Monday, and then yesterday it hit me hard. So tired and everything, and just wiped me out. Yeah, a lot more so than I would have expected. Okay, so I'm going to take my silver and I'm just going to do a little bit of dry brush over that area. My silver's looking kind of thick. So just tap in here, get a little bit on my brush, and then basically make it clean. And I just want to do a little bit on there. Just to highlight some of the details on this. Even though I think for the most part the canopy is going to be closed on this one. I still want to highlight in case the canopy does get opened by somebody at some point. I have seen some I have watched a video or two of guys building this particular plane, adding all kinds of crazy amounts of detail to the cockpit. And I think you guys watching me, if you've watched any of my videos, you can tell by now I'm not into super amounts of detail. I'm kind of hey, if it looks good from this distance, that's all I need. I'm just going to clean my brush off here. I'll be right back. I didn't bring out my little dish of water, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so with that done, we're ready to hit this with the flat clear. Now, I don't really want to get a bunch of flat clear in the cockpit here per se, because of all the gauges in there, and I've made them clear like a gloss on purpose. So what I want to do, the question is, how much do I want to mask in there? I think just enough to cover the gauges is good enough. I think that'll be decent enough for me if I can just kind of prevent it from really. I think that's good enough, just like that, just to kind of cover it up a little bit in there. Don't need to go crazy in trying to mask everything, as long as that stays kind of where it's supposed to. Good enough for me. Yeah, of course this stupid tape sucks. So I'll use my Tamiya tape. Okay, you see it's already lifting on this one. Garbage tape. Don't buy this brand. Even though this is freaking 3M brand, normally is really good brand. But this particular one, it sucks. Okay, I think we're ready now for clear coat. I believe so. Now, I don't want to put clear on, I don't want to do flat clear on this part of the wing or on the engines, because the flat clear really just dulls off that nice metallic look. And so I don't want to mask it. I'm just going to take a piece of cardboard or whatever and cover it while I'm spraying it, like here, just to be careful I don't get it on there. So I got my table here, and I'm going to transfer this over to here, and I got my flat clear. So let's just do this. I want to check something here. All right. I'll get my cardboard. Not that one. I'll get a smaller piece here. Just to kind of do that. Alright, so that's one side. Let's rotate this guy. Now, as much as I don't want to put it on too thick, at the same time, if you don't do it thick, then kind of what happens is the silvering of the decals doesn't get hidden. And of course that is kind of the whole purpose of this, for me anyway. Yes, the flat takes away the glossiness and everything, as it should, but at the same time it kind of gets rid of that silvering that just the decals naturally do. And so you do have to wind up, at least for me, to really get rid of that sheen from the decals, you have to put it on a little thick. So, you know, where one coat might seem like it's fine, I like to do 2 or even 3. And depending on how impatient I am, I might do the 2nd or 3rd coat thicker than I would with my first one. So I need to do these 2. And I need to do the tail fin, at least one side for now. Of course, the tail fin is practically one huge decal. So there's that. So first coat done. And so I need to let that dry a little bit because it's going to be tacky for a few minutes. And that's okay. So let's take a look at the instructions and just see where we did leave off before all this decaling and everything. We were doing the weapons. We got the weapons assembled and got them put on, and then it was time to assemble the wings and the tail fins. So I got obviously got them all decaled up. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. And so it's hot in here. So that's where we're at. We're almost done, actually. Just a couple of things, and of course putting on the refueling nozzle if we're going to do that. I'm not going to do that. This particular one I'm going to choose not to put on the ladder for the pilots. I'm just going to leave it off, just because. I've got this little pod. I've got the pod up here done for that goes up on the nose, just in front of the instruments. I have to assemble this thing. While I'm waiting for that to dry, let's get this assembled. I have some of it painted already, I believe. What are we looking at? Number H26. Yes, it is this one. H26 with D9, which I've already done. You got a decal on there. I went and painted all these gauges, and meanwhile they got a decal for me. Really? Now the decals are almost all gone. I went and painted them. I didn't even look at the decals. I don't even know where it is. Oh well, I guess it's not important now. But okay, so if you're building this, there's a decal that goes on the back of this little clear panel that I failed to notice. Oh well. I went and painted them. I went and, looked at a whole bunch of pictures online, and I painted them based on what I could tell. I'll try and show you here once I get this off the tree. makes this one now empty. I kind of went to the problem of painting the backside. Here, I'll show you. So on the back side of the glass is what I did was this, and just kind of painted the back side like that, so that when you're actually looking at it, it looks like that. And that's kind of my instrumentation. Of course, if you use the Decal, it's going to look a lot better, but I'm dumb and didn't do that. So this goes together like this. And I need to clean up my paint job on this a little bit here. So let's glue these together. This piece is, of course, another one of those pieces that the guys go crazy in detailing, and they add the freaking wires that are coming out of the back of this and go down into the cockpit. Once again, it's not, that's not really my thing so much. I mean, it looks fantastic when they do it, and the detail is like wow, but yeah, it's just, again, it's not my thing. So that's this, and it's got kind of the gray border. I might just leave that. Let's see how that looks in the cockpit in a minute or two. Let's take a look. How are we doing here? Okay. I'm just going to need another coat. See this. Yeah, they all need another second coat. But that's what we were expecting, right? Second coat done. Now we wait. What else did we need to assemble? Okay, so we got the canopies, and I've already put the glass on them, and put the decals. So funny thing, I had put the decals with the names of the pilots on them, on this, and then I put the glass on, and then I realized I needed to paint this front edge of the glass So I grabbed my masking tape and I went to mask this off, and just as soon, the masking tape just touched the decal and I moved it and the decal came completely off. As you can see here, I was only able to save the word Maj, short for major, and LE instead of the major Lee, for that one. And the rest, it just wanted to stick to the tape, and that was the end of it. So I wound up having to, seeing it how the decals did not stick very well at all on these. It was actually quite easy for me to just take some water and kind of take my knife, I grab my screwdriver, take my knife and just kind of very gently get underneath the decal and peel them all up, put them all aside, and then I could paint the canopy nice and freely without the decals coming out. Then got the decals wet, and I actually used the, I just straight, not even any water, I just used the decal adhesive and laid that down, put the decals over top. Then after it was setting a little bit, used the Mark Fit to shrink the decal down just like it's supposed to, and the decals are now held on very good. And then just about an hour ago, I masked off the canopy and I did the flat clear on them over there, and now they are sealed in good and should not be going anywhere. So that's the canopies. This is the middle piece that the canopies go in. This is going to go down. Got my little red screen or whatever that is that's in the middle there. So this is going to go in between them. This, well, I think this canopy goes like that, and then this one will go like that, and that's what they're going to look like on the plane, with, of course, the nose piece sitting something like that. Yeah. So that's going to look, I've test fitted these pieces on there, and they go in very nicely and they sit just like they're supposed to. You know, a lot of times you build these planes and you put the canopy on, and the canopy wants to sit up just a, half a millimeter. It doesn't line up on its own. It just kind of sits up a little bit and it doesn't look that great. I've got that problem on my F-14. It doesn't sit down perfectly flush like it should, you know what I mean? And that's a little disappointing when that happens. So it's nice to see this one that sits down just absolutely perfect. Of course, that's just test fitting. Once you got it glued, that can always change, right? You never know. We've got a couple of pieces here that need to go in the cockpit behind the seats. F8 and F9. I'm going to find my F tree. Is this F? Oh, it is F. Look at this big honking ladder. That's not even in this kit. It doesn't go on here anywhere. And of course you've got, clearly this is a common tree that they have, I guess, because you've got two other nose pieces, right? So you've got three of them, three to choose from, depending on what you're putting together. But the instructions called for that one, so that's the one I used. And it's the same with this, your gauges, this little gauge cluster here. There's another panel here and a third one here. We've got another main, as you can see, I started doing the panel line accenting on them just because I didn't know which one I needed, and then it turned out it was the other ones I needed. So have some extra parts. Obviously, I guess if you're building the F-4A or B or whatever, this happens to be the J. Yeah, anyway, so I need these two pieces, F8 and 9. Let's make sure those are 8 and 9. Yes. So I need these. Okay, so remember 9 is a longer one. And it's probably, this tree is probably done, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. You guys who are used to me building these airplanes all the time might be a little disappointed that my next build is going to be a Gundam, the Gundam kit by Bandai. That's next on my agenda once this one is done. And then after that I've got a tank I need to build that's been sitting there begging me to build for a very long time. So I don't know if this actually attaches to the seat itself. It's going to go like this. I think it's just kind of random. It might sit like that, it might not. I don't think it's going to sit like that. I don't know if it's going to. I'll have to test fit it. I could just plop it down in the cockpit and leave it at that. Because this one is not quite the same, and it just slides anywhere on that. So yeah, clearly it's just the seat rests against it and that's it. And where it rests is where it rests. How are we doing here? Are we dry? Oh, we feel dry. The second coat definitely did the job at getting rid of the sheen on the decals. That is not. I'll have to do a third coat on this one. I'm hiding it behind the window, and I'll have to do a third coat on this one. I can still see some sheen on the decals on that wing. Let's see how my fins doing. Fins look good. At least that one does. That one looks good too. Okay. How about a tail fin? Tail fin looks pretty good. So I'll just have to do the other side of the tail fin. And I'm going to see now that this feels dry. I want to just kind of have a look at it. Just have a look at it. Just look at it. And for the most part, I think we're doing good. The whole idea is to get rid of the sheen, right? So I shouldn't see. Now that's one criticism I have. I'm going to tell you right now, one criticism I have for this kit. I'm going to show you with this tail, with this fin here. Okay, so you see all these decals right along here. Okay, and that's the no push and no step decals. These are not separate decals. This whole row right along here, that's all one decal. That's one whole complete decal. And in fact, it's these decals plus this one and this one, all on one decal. And the way they do it, so it's trimmed, so you've got this long strip like this, and then it comes up like that, wraps around this one, comes back down, and then goes like this up around this decal like that. And that's the actual shape of the decal. It's a huge decal, but you've got so much clear here and here, and big areas of this of clear decal film. And that is a common thing throughout this entire model. All of the decals are like that. They give you, there's so much, but they make them in big honking decals with a lot of clear film in between. I personally hate that. I would rather have each one of these individual with nice tight cuts around them so that you get a minimal amount of that clear decal film. But that's just me. I understand their logic behind it. It makes it less decals to apply, and you go boom, and when they're on, they're all exactly in the spots they're supposed to be. I understand that logic behind it, but it makes so much of that clear film just to silver on you and looks like crap. Um, so for a lot of them now, for the underside of the fuselage, I didn't really bother doing much about it, because a lot of the decals are hidden by all the armaments anyway. So like the sections like here where you can see all of these and all of these, that's like one freaking decal, right? But you can't really tell. It's not as noticeable on the bottom, and so I didn't really do much about it. But on the top, where they wanted these huge decals put on, I laid them down, wait for it to dry a little bit, and then I just cut it right along the panel lines and separate them, and kind of did that. And a couple of them, what I actually did was I just trimmed it out. Like, let's just pretend this is the decal, and I've got this cut out. So I've got a warnings thing here and another warning thing here. I just took my knife and just kind of scribed a little bit around the decal and around that one, and then just put this whole thing into the water, and that way they're there and they're separate now, and that's how I did it, rather than cutting it, trying to trim it while it was on the model. And that's what I did. Yeah, so that's what I wound up having to do. And yeah, so I want to put another little bit of a coat here. Oh, you can't even see it. On that big honking, big ass Marines. I want to put another layer on that, just to do it even better. And I want to do it on this side too. And I just put my fingers in wet paint and probably got fucking fingerprints on it. So let's just do that. That might come back to bite me. I hope it doesn't, but it probably will. So if I didn't have it thick enough on there already, it's definitely going to be thick enough now. Stupid me. It's probably going to look like crap. As soon as I grabbed it and I moved my hands on it, I could feel it was tacky. It's not where I was intending to spray it, but obviously it did. But if I did get fingerprints in the clear, I can't do anything about it. Well, I suppose there are people out there who could. I can't. Me, personally, I can't. And it's just the way it is. Yeah. Okay, so clear coat's done on that. Take my little pieces of tape off of there. I'm going to live a little dangerously, and I'm going to do a little touch-up on here. So I've got an instrument right there that's red, just like there's an instrument in the back there that's red also. This one here, the rear one has a red lens, and then it's got a piece of clear over it, and so it looks good. The front one, however, it was just, originally it was, just the plastic color, and so painted red. And then I thought, I didn't have any clear paint at the time, so I thought what I'm going to try doing is take a little dab of glue and go doink, and just put the glue on it and see how that looks. And that technique actually worked out for a lot of the little tiny gauges, giving them that little tiny little bit of a sheen, nice clear gloss, so that when you look at it and you happen to just change your angle of the lighting, suddenly it shines. It's like, oh hey, that's glass, but This one, however, for whatever reason, the glue kind of went foggy and didn't, well, the little technique didn't work. So I repainted it red, but now it's just like it's red and it's flat red. So I did buy some clear, so I'm just going to put a little dab of clear on there. I was thinking about it earlier. With clear paint, do you have to shake it? Because normally when you have a color, you have to my lighting really sucks this morning. There we go. Okay. Normally you have to shake your paint to get it to mix, right? Because it separates. But do you have to with clear? I'd imagine you do. I shook it earlier, so it's okay, even if there is some kind of separation that's going on that you can't see. Anyway, so that's that. Okay, so this is probably still just a little, oh, no, it feels dry. Yeah. It dries so quick. I love Tamiya spray paint. Okay, so instructions. Where are we at here? Back a page. We got to do the wings, and this is what I'm going to hate. I hate this part because I failed on this wing so badly. As I mentioned in my last video, I misaligned how this goes on, and now my decal doesn't line up properly, and that really sucks because that's how it's going to go, and the decal looks stupid. It just looks horrible. It's like a freaking centimeter off. But what if I fake it and I put it like that? Now the wing won't line up here, but it won't be as noticeable, right? It's sitting out a little bit further than it's supposed to, but at least it lines up. I might just be able to get away with that. Even if, can I hold this? Is it really dry? See, it doesn't line up. The little gears on the bottom don't line up at all. And I want them to line up. I really do. So I'm just gonna have to suck it up and say my American thing, whatever you call that, star and stripes, just doesn't line up. And that's just the way it is. So, oh well. So that's the way it's going to go. So let's get the glue out and let's glue this puppy. I made that tight. Okay. Now, learning from before, I'm going to line it up on the bottom here. And there we go. And it's an almost tight fit, so it holds on its own almost pretty well. And it's lined up, and there we go. So that's one side done. Now, I can put the fin, is it this one? Yes, it is. That goes in just like that. That's nice and easy. So let's turn our plane around again. nice and easy for these parts. Just like so. Done. So that's one side. Next, we'll do the other side. So let's turn this around again. So I'm going to say that's the one drawback to the plane being so big is manipulating it like that. Now I've got a little bit of glue that's exposed there. So after that's dried, if I can still see that little bit of a glossy part of the glue, I'll just take my flat clear and go and there you go. The glue is clear, so you're not going to see it. You know, it doesn't, other than the fact that you can see it's glossy, but other than that, it's not a big deal. And there we go, that one's in. How are we doing over here? Are you dry? Yes, you are. And that extra coat of paint really did the trick. So this thing should fit in the same manner, just like that, although it's not gonna, doesn't feel as tight of a fit as the other side was, so it's not gonna hold up by itself. So let's flip her over and have a look at our lining up, our alignment here. It is going to hold on its own there. See, this wing, this one I did good. I did a good job on that one. Let's throw some glue on it. Some on these pegs. And on these ones. You can kind of get a feel of the sweet spot on the angle. As you can see, these things are angled down, right? Or, well, if the plane's upright, if they're angled up. You can get a feel of where they're going to fall off, because you're dumb. If you're dumb like me, and you don't line them up right, well, I did line them up right, but this side is a little more loose, so I am going to grab this paint, do that, so I don't want it to rest on this wing, and because my glue kind of came off, I want to add some. So as I was trying to say before it fell apart on me, when you're trying to line up and get that perfect angle, you can kind of feel where it fits, and those two, that flat edge meets flat edge, and that's where it should sit, right? But of course, if you're using the same glue I am, it isn't it allows you to manipulate it for a very short time, and then once it's done, if you try and manipulate it more, it's basically acts like it's no longer glued together. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute while that sets, and take a look at their tail fin, because their tail fin's next. Let's take a look here. Because we've only done one coat, so it's probably going to need another one. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely needs another coat. And that should do it for the tail fin. That should be fine. Just let that dry. Okay, are you going to be nice? I think it's going to be nice now. Please be nice. Please be nice. Unfortunately, I need to fix it. One thing I'm going to tell you now to keep in mind. It does only line up a certain way. I'm holding it now because I had to move it just a hair, and now it's threatening to fall off again. So I'm just going to hold it here for a sec. Wonder if I can convince one of my paints to hold it. Thank you very much, Mr. Black. That is, I said Mr. Black because it's the black paint, and for no other reason. But in today's day and age, that can be mistaken very easily for something else. Okay. Tail fin still looks a little tacky, so I don't want to play with it yet. And of course it's sitting on top of my instructions now, so I can't really do anything other than wait a minute or two. So, how about them sports teams? Are they doing good? Is your favorite one doing good? Who cares? Not me, anyway. I'm not into sports, or watching them, or paying attention to what's going on in what sport. It's not my thing. Let's try this now. All right. So the reason why I was manipulating it, I noticed this edge here, it was sitting up a little bit high. I just didn't have the angle right. I had it sitting a little too much like this, like that, if that makes sense, or like this. And you could actually see into the inside of it right here. And well, that's not right. That shouldn't be like that. And in fact, this other side looks like I've done a similar mistake. So I'm going to turn this around. Let's see just how bad it is. It's actually not bad. It just looks worse because of this decal being split like that. So I think I'm just going to say good enough, good enough. What are we doing here? It's dry. How do we look though? We look pretty darn good. Okay, tail fin ready for assembly. Well, it already is assembled, but it just sits on like that. Doink. So I'll just throw some glue on this, put a little glue on the peg, and that'll be good enough. That should be enough to hold it. Just like that. Make sure it looks like it's at 90 degrees. Or I guess that's plumb. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We are nearing the finish line. Next page is putting the seats in. The oh so famous seats, but we got these little things to put in first. So I am going to try and turn this if I can, just to get it a little more accessible. So this one goes in the front, and it just goes in the right back there, and it just sits like that. Okay. Easy enough. Easy peasy. Now that I've got all my tools underneath the plane, did you hear that crack? That was because I just broke loose one of the missiles underneath by squeezing it. But well, I guess it didn't really break loose. It just felt like it. Let's get this out while I got this like that. Okay, now this one, it goes the opposite. So this peg goes down there, and then these two little things go into two little slots there. I'm going to live dangerously, and I'm not test fitting this. I'm going to assume that Tamiya's done me right, and this is going to fit the way it's supposed to. Once I get the bottom lined up and actually in the slot. Alright. It's kind of a tight fit, but it fit. And now the seats. So the seats, as far as I can tell, it's just got these two notches here that go into two slots on the floor, and then that's it. I don't know if they're different, if they're front to back or not. Does not appear so. They look like they are the same. They appear to be the same whether they're front or back. Feels like I'm getting just a little bit of resistance on it, so I am going to just kind of shave down these so they're not quite a square peg, but more got a little bit of a wedge to them, just to help guide them into the hole a little better. Ever so slightly, and I might as well do that for this one too while I'm at it. All right. Dark blue shirt shows up the shavings real nice. Okay, so which seat? Let's do you. You can be in the front. There we go. Next. Okay, let's make sure they're both sitting right. And they are. The seats are in. Where'd my glasses go? All right, seats are in. Now that the seats are in, I go with this guy, which is going to go right up here like this, just like that. It's got a hole there for the peg to go in, and then these two little slots go boink boink. How do they go? They go boink boink. Just like so. And then we've got this rear one. This one goes like this. And let's see where it lines up exactly. Okay, so there's two little slots that go there and there. So it sits like that. Okay, I can deal with that. I don't know why it's giving me a headache now that I've got glue on it. It doesn't want to line up. There we go, thank you. There. Bingo. Next. There are some little arms that they want me to put on, but I don't see where they actually go. Insignificant. Next. This is a big step. This guy here. He goes down. There's a little slot that it lines up with. Right there. Bingo. Keep in mind, this piece at one time was completely clear. Why Tamiya decided to mold this in clear simply to have these tiny, tiny little windows exposed, I don't know. So now I have the front piece that's got to go on here. And so I actually, it looks like I've got a little bit of overspray on the inside of it. And I need to clean that up, which means I need some alcohol. So I'll be back in a moment. I gotta get my rubbing alcohol. None of my thinners really work well on the Tamiya spray. So rubbing alcohol should clean it up nicely. So we'll see here. Yep. Rubbing alcohol cleans them up real nice. Not when it's on the floor. What is this on the outside here? There we go. All right, that looks much nicer. And if I got some blemishes, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's make sure this is on there properly. And for this, I'm going to use this glue because I love the capillary action that it uses to just run into the spots it needs to be and nowhere else. So with a minimal amount, it does its job. Although I do need a little more on this side. And this stuff dries nice and clear every time. I love it. So then we can put this on. Get it in there. See, it sits perfect. I love it. It's fantastic. There we go. And I think that's it. So the instructions, they show there's a little piece to put down underneath on this side here, just a little sliver of a piece to put if you're not using the ladder. It's really kind of insignificant of a piece. It just fills in a little slot here. To me, it's not really necessary. And then, I don't know, some weird looking tiny little piece that goes underneath here. You've got shocks for the canopy pieces if you want to use them. I like the fact that I could do that with that. I don't know if this one will stay up on its own. I don't think it will. The best I could do is that, I guess. It won't stay up on its own. That's perfectly fine. I like leaving them so that you can take them out. And the fact that they sit on there nice and flush, it looks fantastic to me. It's probably the best one I've encountered in a very, very long time as far as how the canopies fit. The next step, if you're doing it, is to put on the air refuel nozzle or cover it. And then, of course, the next page is decals, which means we're done. The kit is finished. Done. There we have it. We are finished, guys. Finally, it's been a bit of a process, but there we go. Ta-da! I am impressed with it. Not with that, though. Get down where you're supposed to go, you. How did you wind up getting flipped up? I am impressed. I think it looks great. It's my first 1/32 build plane. These move a little bit. I want to keep them kind of in that position. It's my first 1/32 build. Like I've said many times, I'm used to building 1/48s or even 1/72 scale, much smaller, much less detail. So this being my first one, I liked it. Overall, it was very nice, enjoyed to build, except of course the seat belts. First time dealing with photo etched parts, and that was a big learning process and a very test of my patience. As you saw, it's just the way it was. But you know, other than those couple of hiccups, it went really well. No real major fitment issues for this kit. It was, like I said, it was a good build. And of course, the one criticism of the decals, having so much clear around them and having to deal with that, like this was one big decal and this was one big decal, right? Yeah. Other than that, that's really the only criticism I would have for this kit. But I think in the end it turned out really well. It looks really cool. And of course, you know, the Phantom having all those missiles and stuff on the bottom. I don't want these to accidentally fall off, so I'm just going to pull them out. As I flip this over, you know, so many armaments on this thing, and yet I read somewhere that they complained that the F4 had no actual gun, in spite of all its armaments. And of course, all this stuff is all air to ground, right? It's not air to air, except for the Sidewinder missiles, which it has 4. Was its only capabilities of fighting air to air, was with those 4 missiles, and that's all it had. And I guess that it caught some flack because of that from critics, not liking the fact that it didn't have a machine gun. I can't say either way whether that's good or bad, so I'm gonna have to re-glue this. It's wiggly, so I'll re-glue that. But other than that, it's done. So I'm going to take some pictures of this guy, and I will post it up on my Instagram, so you can get some nice pictures and take a look at it. If you want to check me out on my Instagram, you can take a look there. And of course, you know, I know nobody has said anything. I'm going to take a look right now, just real quick, just out of curiosity. Let's see here. You know, I've got people in my chat, they're watching. That's fine. If you don't want to say anything, I don't mind. That's perfectly fine. But you know, you have the opportunity to talk to me while I'm doing this. If you go on my Twitch and follow me on there, and yeah, that'd be great. But you guys who follow me on YouTube, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks again. And thanks for the suggestion on building this. I did enjoy it, even though it's something a little bit out of my comfort zone in building one this big. I had fun. I enjoyed it. And like I've said before, if there are other kits that you would like to, you're thinking about building, but you maybe just want to see an average person build them and not a professional, because I ain't no pro, feel free. Throw me a suggestion of a kit you'd like to see. But that being said, my next build is going to be a Gundam kit. And because they've been sitting on my shelf up there for a little while, and they've been waiting. And then after the Gundam kit, I'm going to do a tank, and so that'll be it. So I want to thank you guys again. I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you guys again for watching. Thanks for you guys who follow me and subscribe. It's really awesome. If you do want to send me a message, if you want to send me a private message, you can go on my Twitter, and you can message me on my Twitter. And of course, like I always say, I'll put links down in the description box to all my social platforms, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, so that being said, I'm going to call it a day. And yeah, thank you guys again for supporting me and my endeavor. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to take off. Not in this, but I'm going to take off. And yeah, so I guess thanks again, and we'll see you all in the next one.